everybody. Welcome back to the Creating Health and Wealth for Retirement podcast. This is Mark Dulaney to my right or your left. I don't know. He's the health guru that's going to help you enjoy your life and your living and your body and your strength and mobility for the rest of your life.
And that voice you hear is Rick Collins. He's going to help you create the wealth to match the health I help you create so that when you retire, all you need to find is someone to spend it with. This show doesn't help yet, but maybe in the future we will. This is the Creating Health and Wealth for Retirement podcast. We're excited to be here, Rick. I'm excited. Are you excited to be here?
I am stoked to be here today because I had a really good week.
Cool. And so we've been in a series where Rick and I started out, we made some plans for the new year, and we both have some challenges, which is going to happen when you set out on the major goal, but we are endeavoring to persevere. We will get this right, and we're going to update you some of the stuff that we've done. And the reason why we're not just here talking about everything works out perfectly is because this is life. What we're experiencing is what you will experience as you try to create health and wealth. So Rick, your goal is to improve your body. Talk about your journey for this last week.
I'm working on getting healthier, improving my cardiovascular health, my strength, mobility, flexibility. And the goal I set out was this year was going to be the year that I am going to the gym on a regular basis 3 times a week because weight training is important. I'm going to be 54 in a couple of weeks, and I have lost quite a bit of weight, and I have some muscle wasting. My muscle mass is decreased just because I'm getting older. And if I don't do something to stem the tide of the loss, then I'm going to keep getting worse and weaker. So I'm going to the gym 3 times a week. Goal is to go for a walk 3 times a week, and to maintain good blood sugar control. I'm type 1 diabetic, so keep my blood sugar low. That's in the regular range, and keep my weight under 200 pounds. So those are the 4 big goals I've got set for myself. Really, it's about taking action. And I did not go to the gym this week because for whatever reason, I made an excuse in my head that I didn't need to go to the gym or didn't have time or energy. But I did work out this week. I've got weights at home, and I've always got my body weight. So I purposely actually worked out 3 times this week with the dumbbells and body weight planks and air squats and calisthenics and push-ups, sit-ups. Went for 3 walks this week. Had a really good week trying to lay that consistency as a foundation. And sometimes, there's going to be weeks that I don't make it, but doesn't mean I'm going to quit. But this was a good week for that. What about you?
The interesting about your story is that there's no one way only that someone can. If something doesn't work, that doesn't mean they can't still work out. You can always work out at home. You said something very interesting, body weight. Body weight is always something that can be used to help people exercise. You don't have to go out and buy equipment. You don't have to join a gym. You can work out at home. Push-ups, walking always works. And just the idea, I've seen people get cans of green beans, cans of peas, and use them as dumbbells in their hands to do all sorts of things. Here's the bottom line, I think, when it comes to that. If you want to exercise, you will find a way.
Yep.
If you don't want to exercise, you will find a reason.
You find an excuse.
Excuse, reasons. There's a thin line between excuses and reasons. The point is, Rick, you did it, and I'm proud of you, and I'm glad you did it, and I'm looking forward to future weeks of your commitment to doing so. I have to ask you, how's the diet been? Because the diet is a major part of.
The diet's been good. I'm getting my protein in. It's 100 grams of protein a day. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but that really is a lot. I'm eating two Greek yogurts at 25 grams a piece. And then I've got a protein drink I drink. So I'm getting 75 as a baseline plus whatever I actually eat. Trying to stay away from the sweets and the carbs and eating healthier. That's always a challenge for me because I'm diabetic with a sweet tooth and I like carbohydrates. But the eating's good. My wife's out of town for the next couple of days. So, that always opens the door for really bad behavior. But so far, so good. It's always to make improvements, and that's what I really want to point out is we make these big changes, plans, goals, whatever. I'm going to get healthier. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to exercise 3 times a week. Oftentimes, things get sideways. We come up with a reason or an excuse, or something happens that knocks us off from hitting our goal for the week. But I want to encourage everybody. Like my 14-year-old the other day had his first track meet for the season, and he wanted to set a 14:30 time for the 2 mile, and he came in at like 14:45. And instead of being bummed about it, he goes, I finished, seventh out of 21. I'm going to take that as a win. And so I want to encourage everybody, while you may set big goals for your week, big plans, if something happens and you miss a day or you miss a goal, it's important to be able to pivot and change and keep pursuing the goals instead of just giving up and falling off the wagon and putting it off for the next week or next month or next year because, hey, in January I messed up my New Year's resolution, so I'm going to have to wait till next year to start over. Don't give up. That's what I'm trying to say.
I 100% agree with that. And so, how does this week look for you in terms of your health journey?
Well, this week, like I said, my wife's out of town till Monday night, so I'm going to the gym today, tomorrow, and Monday. So, because I've got free time because my wife's not here, and I just want to get that habit instilled in me, because I feel better after I work out. I may not want to go to the. I'm not to the point where I want to go to the gym yet. I know I need to, and so if I keep doing it and keep seeing the results, I will be more apt to continue going because I'll like going and I'll like seeing the results the way I feel. So it's definitely I'm in Texas. It's going to be 78 degrees today. So the dog and I are going for a walk today and tomorrow too. So I'm going to get 3 workouts and at least 2 walks in before Monday evening. So I'm going to start the week off strong and keep going.
Wow, it's 17 degrees here where I am, so
And we put up with 100-degree heat and hurricanes, so we have mild winter. So there's always trade-offs.
there's always trade-offs. That's true. Um, Two other elements I want you to ponder: rest. Are you getting adequate rest? And number two, alleviating stress. I don't know if you have any stress in your life, but stress is always something that creates cortisol in your body, which can reduce fat loss and just stir up all sorts of emotions and things within your body that you don't need. So I want you to ponder how you can make sure you're getting rest and alleviating stress in your plan for future health.
It's great that you point that out. I've always been a 6 to 7 hour sleeper, and I'm actually did not get near as much as I should last night. No excuse other than
Oh, you miss your wife. Oh, that's so
yeah,
sweet.
let's go with that. Actually, I was binge watching Ted Lasso. Apple, I don't subscribe to Apple TV, but they have a free 7 day um, trial. So I was
Mhm.
watching Ted Lasso, and I got hooked into Ted Lasso, and the positivity that character shows is just amazing. But
That's is Ted Lasso. He's not the one that is a hitman secretly, right? That's a different
no, Ted
show.
Lasso is the American that
Ah,
goes over to England to be a soccer coach,
all right.
and
I
it's
get my two
really
shows.
it's really entertaining. I've seen trailers about it on YouTube, and I'm like, I got to take advantage of this. So I'm doing a little binge watching in my downtime, but so I got like 5 hours sleep last night. But I've got an Aura ring, OURA, that monitors my health, my sleep quality, my stress levels, my heart rate. It actually is monitoring my cardiovascular age versus my chronological age. And right now, my cardio age is 3 years older than my actual age. So I've got work to do there, but just knowing where I am, this feeds into an app. I wear it all the time. Gives me a direction I need to work on. That's why I'm trying to do more exercise, more cardio, because if I'm going to be 54 in a week and a half. If my cardio age is 58, 57, that's not good. So I need to get those closer together. So it's important to be able to know where I am and how I feel, and again, the rest, relaxation, the food, all factors into the cortisol effect, which causes inflammation in my body and causes ripple effect various other symptoms, diseases, and problems that I could head off if I just did a little bit of preventive maintenance every day.
So I just want to totally off topic a little bit, but my lady listened to our podcast 2 weeks ago, and she wanted me to tell you she liked it, she enjoyed it. So I
Well,
just
that's
want to
good to
say,
hear.
yes, that is good to hear.
Hopefully, our listeners will continue to grow and get something from us. It's two middle aged guys talking real life and giving some insights, and so people can benefit from our wisdom and not have to repeat some of the mistakes that we've made
and sometimes still making.
and celebrate our
Um,
victories.
Celebrate our victories. That's correct. And also, I think the key component of what we're doing, Rick, is we're being honest with what people go through, what real people go through when they start a new journey, and that's what we both help them through, help our clients through. And that's why I'm talking about my wealth journey and you're talking about your health journey because you're the wealth guy, so you know how to do that. I'm the health guy. That would be easy for me to talk about my goals. But creating the wealth through my business, that's more of a struggle and a challenge for me. So I'm going to be vulnerable when I do my report and talk about some of the things that I went through this week.
So,
So
how
we
was your
appreciate you.
week now that you mention it?
So my week was revelationary, not revolutionary, revelationary. That's my new word. I should buy that domain name before this gets recorded. Revelationary. So, as you know, my goal was to get 1,000 people in a new course I created and to get them to pay me an average of $40 a month for at least 3 months. And I was going to do that this year. And after 2 weeks of actually working at it, I noticed that for some reason, my motivation slowed down. My desire to do it never really was all that. And I think it was never really, hey, I can do this, I can do this, because my method to accomplish the goal wasn't a realistic one. If I want to get 1,000 people, reaching out to people one on one and waiting for them to organically find me and decide to hire me is probably a tough thing to do in 12 months to get 1,000 people. That's if I had a 10% closing rate on phone calls, that would be 10,000 people I would have to call, or 10,000 people who would have to see my messages. And
That's a
the
lot.
problem with that, the problem with that is social media, they get to decide how many people see my messages, and calling, that's a very time consuming thing. So I think I was a little bit discouraged, and but I didn't want to give up my goal. So I found a better, what I think is a more realistic way of doing it. And I actually made it a 2 year goal as opposed to a 1 year goal. But I'm upping my price from an average of $40 to an average of 70, 75. And I want the people to stay with me 4.5 months. So over the course of, if you do the math, that ends up being closer to 300,000 over 2 years. So I'm increasing my goal, but the way I'm going to do it is more realistic because I'm creating my own community, which, by the way, if you're listening, you can join for free. And I'm going to take all my posting and I'm going to do it inside that community as well as on regular social media. But then people will get to know me and trust me and understand why they may believe that I'm worth the money that I'm going to ask for. But I will get everybody who wants to get started on their health journey, I'll help them do it for free in my community. And I will teach them about diet, I'll teach them about exercise, teach them about rest, teach them about alleviating stress and to get them started. But if they see value and they want me to help them along the way so they become the person who does it consistently, then I'll charge them for that.
So,
And so
what's
my mate,
different? What's different about your plan, your coaching, this free plan? What's different that sets you apart from everybody else that all the gurus out there?
well, most of the gurus teach almost they all have their own system. Their diet, be it carnivore, plant-based, they have their exercise routine. And my main thing is helping people find the program that works for them, be it diet, exercise, rest, and alleviating stress that fits into their budget, into their lifestyle, into their family, and that their bodies actually get result from. So basically, Rick, I help everybody find the plan that works for them based on their metabolism, based on their lifestyle, especially their budget, because anybody can say only eat these things. But the reality is, if you can't afford those things or you don't have the time to prepare them, then it's not a realistic plan. So, me, I don't have something I sell to people. I help them find what works for them.
Is it a
That's
lot
really
of
what.
wholesale changes, or do you want people to do one thing a day or learn something new? I remember something about 88 seconds or something like that.
Well, that's a course I created called In 80 Seconds a Day. And in the free program, the first 28 days of getting started is available to them. But my main philosophy is don't focus on the weight you want to lose, the inches you want to lose. Focus on the activities that make that happen. So getting you
Okay.
even through this podcast to go start walking, that's a big deal because no matter what plan we come up with, if you don't go walking or do whatever, then you're not going to get any results. So my whole thing is I don't have a diet or an exercise program to sell you. I want you to get started doing what you can do, whether it's walking. If you can run, that's fine. If you can get to the gym, that's fine. But the journey of 1,000 steps starts with the first step, and the first step can be walking.
Yeah, I
So
tell you what,
that's
I
really what makes
definitely won't
me.
be running, but I can walk. I actually jogged through the parking lot at church the other day because it started raining, and every joint in my body was hurting for days after. So I'm not running. I'm not going to be a runner, but I can definitely put one foot in front of the other and walk.
So I have a client. His name's Pastor Frank. He's a pastor, and he swore to me he couldn't run. But a year later, he ran two 10Ks in one weekend. So I'm not saying you will do that, nor you, listener, and I'm not saying you should try it. But you'll be surprised what you can do when you start from walking and you build and you work your way up. That's all I'm saying.
You said something that triggered something. Jim Rohn is a business coach, or he was a business coach, motivational speaker, and he often said one of his things was you people often overestimate what they can do in a month, but they seriously underestimate what they can do in a year. So if people are disciplined and do a little bit every day, you'd be amazed at the progress you can make 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the road. You look back like I never could have imagined I could be this far on my journey. So it's really important to get moving every day towards what you want.
And that's why I created this free program so people can get in and have some accountability and learn some things and really get started on their journey. And then when they want to be go to another level in their journey in terms of changing how they think about food, how they think about and becoming a different person, then I think they'll see and understand how I can help them do that too. But the key component of everything that we want to get across here for both of us is you got to get started. That first step is the most the next step is always the most important step of every journey.
Yep, I agree.
So I was a little bit depressed, I got to be honest with you, and I think what we're both trying to say to people listening is, you know it is wonderful to feel amazing about goal setting, and it's wonderful to be a part of a group, and you may be excited about what, but the actual reality of life for people, successful companies, big companies, it's not like they were created one day. In day 10, they made their first million. Day 35, they made their first billion. They went through pretty much their form of personal hell to be able to go through what they went through. Their family squabbles, there's shareholder squabbles, there's setbacks, there's technology changes, there's competition.
There's
Same
divorce.
thing is true.
There's people. Jeff Bezos lost half his fortune. Is still the richest man in the world. But
Yeah. So the key component though is it's a journey. It's not a snap, get rich quick, get healthy quick. It's a journey, and you have to put in the work. There's going to be setbacks, there's going to be pain, there's going to be all these things that we don't want. But people who live a life without pain end up with a life of pain. I just made that up. I don't know if that's clever or
that
not,
was deep.
but the more you avoid pain today, the longer and the more serious the pain will be in the future. That's a promise.
I've been in several. I've been in some direct sales, network marketing things, and one of the things I remember was I think it's maybe it's Dave Ramsey. I think it is Dave Ramsey, the finance guy who I don't agree with most of the time, but He said, do what others won't do today, so in the future you can do what others can't do tomorrow.
That's true. I remember him saying that. I do hear that. And I think I think the key component, Rick, as you know, and then everyone we want to get across to everyone is, you know, superstars aren't really born. They may have genetic advantages, intelligence advantages, family advantages, but the work that a guy like Tiger Woods put in when he was younger to become that great happened because of the work, not because he was born that way. Right now, we've got people like, LeBron James is 45, 40 something years old, and he's still playing basketball at a high level because he works like crazy to take care of his body. You talked about Jeff Bezos. If I'd encourage everyone to read a book on his story. Same thing is true with Phil Knight for Nike. Those guys went through heck. Okay, they went through hell to build the companies that they built. And marriages is the same way. And the same thing is true of the great body. My idol and one of the people I'm identifying with is Jack LaLanne. Rick, are you old enough to remember Jack LaLanne?
The body guy, Jack LaLanne, I used to see him on, he used to have the a juicer and a couple other things, but he was the health guru from the 70s. He was always on the Regis Philbin show.
So to call him a health guru is really diminishing his accomplishment.
Okay.
He is the founder of health and fitness. He was the guy. He was 70 years old with a body that most 20-year-olds don't have. And he actually started the whole revolution. He had a called Jack LaLanne Health Spas, health clubs. I mean, he was an amazing man.
Yeah.
And when you look, I challenge you to Google him. So I want to be the Jack LaLanne of this generation, but I that's my model, and I'm really going at trying to follow his model and be the example that other people would want to be like when they're in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. So
That's a big goal.
yeah, that's what I want to be, and I want to help people live longer, and I want them to be able to have a body with the health to enjoy the wealth you may help them create, and that's why we do this podcast.
So if somebody started out making some big changes and then suddenly they stumble, like you did with reinventing your business, what do they do if they feel stuck or they had a setback? Yeah, it's funny. The busiest day in the gym is January 1st. But after the first week, it's dead because everybody's given up. What do people do? What should people do if they start out on a path, they set a goal, and it's not working for them?
So I think the more important thing is how are they starting out? How are they starting out? Why are they starting it out? I think the most important thing that I found is one of the reasons why people who hire coaches do better is because they were willing to invest their money, not just their words in that. So the component that I would say is before you start, how committed and how badly do you want this thing that you're going after? Now, so many people watch a lot of television, and when in my area, there's a pill for that. There's a prescription drug that's going to solve all your problems. There's the hope that, and we as Christians sometimes believe, oh, Jesus will take care of us. But I think that we still have to take care of ourselves. So are we actually committed to the result? Rick, I will tell you that a committed person to a result will figure out a way to make it work. A person with a lot of wishes and hopes will find a reason it won't work and they will quit.
Yep.
And I face
I think one of the big things is commitment level is huge. Under superseding that is find your why. Why am I doing this? Why do I want to make a change? Um, for me, I looked into the abyss of I don't want the rest of my life to be, you know, aching back, frail. It's only a matter of time until I fall and break a hip, and then I'm going to spend my life in the rest of my life in a wheelchair. Then I'm going to die because I'm going to be a weak, old, frail man. People who have heart attacks, for example, they come face to face with death, and that wakes them up if they've got to make huge changes. So they find their why. The people I deal with their money, they've gone through a divorce, so half their 401k is suddenly gone. they realize, oh, wow, I've got to do something drastically different because my life didn't work out the way I thought it was. So it's finding that why of what's motivating me to make a change that drives the commitment level. So if your why is big enough, the commitment will be strong enough and people can stick to these changes they want to make in their lives.
So one of the things that I would like to add to that, I think you're right, is I think that we're all different. We're all uniquely different. Our brains are wired differently. And one of the things that I try to do, and I'm sure you do too, is figure out how a person is wired to know how to press their buttons. And I think that's why there's so many diversity of coaches, right? Some are really hands-on, feely, touchy, syrupy, and me, I'm more direct and straightforward. So I attract a certain type of client. But I think the key component of it is, some people will focus on the positive. I want to, like for me, for example, I want to be able to be the Jack LaLanne of the future. And you just said something interesting is you don't want. So maybe for some people, it's not what motivates them, but it's what they're running from, what they don't want to have happen to them. That might be what, like, I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be. So for some people, that's what it is. And maybe if people realized the prevalency of divorce today, they would treat their spouses better.
Definitely cherish what they have and work to maintain that, just like any other thing that's worth maintaining. Marriages or relationships take work. It's not love is not a choice. Love is work. And my wife is not here for the 4 days, and I'm enjoying the downtime and some time that I can invest in myself. I miss my wife, and I don't feel complete. So giving up on a relationship, while it may be bad right now, and some marriages shouldn't work out, they shouldn't. But salvaging a relationship is worth the effort because the alternative is worse than you think.
So I
But
want to, I want to go a step before salvaging a relationship. How about keeping it fresh, keeping it alive, being loving so that you don't have to salvage it? If I could get you and me and everybody else to really treasure the person they're married to while the relationship is still good, then there's nothing to salvage. There's no, how do I come back from this? And so if you treat the man or woman you're with like they're your queen or king, or like you love them every day, then there's nothing to salvage.
that's true. It's definitely easier to maintain than it is to fix. Just like your health, it's easier to maintain and do preventative maintenance, some TLC along the way, than wait till you've got a disease that you've got to recover from. Or maintaining a car, it's much easier to change the oil in a car on a regular basis and keep that car running smooth than the engine breaks and you have to spend thousands of dollars on replacing an engine. It's easier to maintain and invest in a relationship along the way. To and and part of that is communication, being able to talk openly and honestly about how you feel. um, the resentments, the bitterness, be able to fight fairly and argue and come to an agreement at the end and work out the differences instead of just letting a wedge develop between um, partners, and it just gets wider and wider. Then it's harder and harder to fix the problem. So definitely agree.
So we're coming up on the end of another great episode. We hope that the episode was great, that you're listening and that you're getting something from this. And so, Rick, final thoughts on our journey, your journey, and the journey that all of us are on in terms of creating the life that we want to live.
I was a former military spouse, and one of the old adages is the battle plan does not survive first contact. And so you might have a goal, a plan, a journey. Life gets in the way really quickly, and things don't always go the way you want. The road you're on might not be the road to your final destination. There's an analogy that Mel Robbins does of, if you're in a car driving and you're lost, stop, reassess, figure out what the next step is, and then change direction, turn the wheel, put your foot on the back on the gas, and move forward in the new direction. So if somebody is struggling and they're not where they are mentally, physically, financially, spiritually, it is never too late to pivot, to change what you're doing. And that might be changing your goals or refining your goals or taking your goals and breaking them down into smaller steps that you can see the next milestone on your journey. And then get off the couch and start working towards it. Don't wait till the next January 1 to magically reinvent your life. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. So get started today by figuring out what you want, what's not working, change where you're going, and then take action to get going the direction that you want to move.
I think I would just like to say that treat every day like it's a life and make the best of that day towards the life you want to have in the future. So, I meet so many people and they let one day, they think they're not going to get caught or it's not going to come back on them. And all of a sudden it becomes a new habit. Like, for example, so I'll just say it this way. Society does not want us to be successful. Society wants our money. Society wants us to be dependent on them. The whole healthcare system is not a healthcare system. It's a sick maintenance care system. Financially, everyone wants us to spend their money. So you have to buck those trends. You cannot go along with what everyone else is doing with your money, with your time, with your energy, and in your relationships, or else you will end up unhealthy, broke, alone, and dependent on the government or healthcare. And with that, Rick, on that inspiring note, I just want to encourage people. We often know if we keep doing what we're doing, we're headed for trouble. We know it. I think everyone who's doing something knows it. But we get attached to it and we believe that something's going to come along and rescue us. So, Rick, if someone wants to get in touch with you so that you can help them create wealth for retirement, how would they do that?
Go to my website is getmydebtfreedate.com. That's getmydebtfreedate.com. And you can find out more about me and schedule a time to talk about your financial goals. Mark, how do they
And
get in
if
touch
you
with you?
and if you want to talk to me, just go to thehealthmillionairesclub.com. Thehealthmillionairesclub.com. Join my free community, and for free, I will help you figure out a plan, not just to get started, but something that you can sustain. And that's how you best schedule me. The Health Millionaires Club. There are no punctuations in a domain name, so it's not apostrophe, it's a plural word. And if you look below, however you're watching us, it should be both of our links to reach us in our thing. Rick, last words and say goodbye.
You are the captain of your own ship. You're the driver of the vehicle of your life. Take control of the wheel instead of being a passenger.
And my last word is the most important step in every journey is the next step. So take it. You will learn something, and then you'll take a better step next time. Rick, have a great week. We'll talk to you next week, and keep up the good work, and enjoy your time alone. But make sure your wife knows you missed her when she comes home.
Mark, keep working on your business. I'm looking forward to seeing how your pivot and your new process works, and I'm going to celebrate your success.
Well, thank you. Hey, Rick, one last thing. Flowers. No woman has ever hated coming home to flowers, just in case you didn't think about that. Flowers, flowers, flowers.
I hear you. I actually planted white tulips in the flower bed last weekend, or 2 weekends ago. So we'll start having flowers around the house. But yes, I need to have flowers waiting for my wife when she gets home.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Have a good one.